Stand down and play. Sam Newsman leads the way. Independent college sound. Beat corporate to the ground. Richmond Times-Dispatch, WDC, shining sun. Top 3 in the radio race. Sam Newsman takes first place. Sam Newsman won't be there. Feel the groove everywhere. College spirit makes us proud. Richmond voices sing out loud. Corporate giant shake with fear. Sam's beats ring far and near. Students cheer and spread the word. Sam's the one you must have heard. From the campus to the town, no one brings the station down. Independent all the way. Sam Newsman forever stay. Sam Newsman won't be there. Feel the groove everywhere. College spirit makes us proud. Richmond voices sing out loud.
You could accept the fact that the city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. It was flaming this Old Testament, real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the sky, rivers and seas boiling. 4 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's hysteria.
Well, listen, I could have just, when I sit there and I saw that Supergirl is at the end of Superman, I expected that she would come with a cat. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here's what happens. I find out that Crypto is not even Superman's dog, it's hers. Oh, wait a minute. I thought that she would be coming up with like a cat, right? The whole cat lady thing. But no. Far be it from me to sit there and assume that the dog is Superman's. No, it's Supergirl's. And she comes in all at the end, is all ditzy and everything. I know, and you know what? Well, thank God you didn't have to sit through the credits of all of that, because usually that's what they do, right? They sit there, and you guys know what I'm talking about. They sit there and they'll do the whole credits thing, and then they make you wait through all the credits, and then there's this secret ending or whatever at the end of it. Well, thank God that we didn't have to sit there and wait through the credits, because I'm telling you what, the credits were the best damn thing of the whole show. So, wait a minute. I take that back. No, John Cena did make an appearance on the screen, on the TV, as Peacemaker. So there is that. So, thank God for that. But, it's very interesting. The propaganda on this film has been thick AF. If you guys know what AF stands for. But no, the propaganda has been absolutely ridiculous during this whole week, saying, oh, well, this is the best. So if you see anybody and they're sitting there trying to tell you that this Superman is really good and really great, well, you might want to ask them who's paying them for their, I guess, for their thoughts. Because the reality is, there's never going to be another Superman other than Christopher Reeve. Let's not kid ourselves. Now, Henry Cavill was okay. I'm sure the ladies liked looking at him. But the ladies liked looking at Christopher Reeve back in the late 70s as well. But, here I am, everybody says that the dog stole the show. So, but I'm just telling you right now, the fact that I found out at the end of the show that the dog's not even Superman, is it belongs to Supergirl. Listen, I'm out. Listen, I wanted to see the cat, especially he's going to come around being all ditzy and everything. It's ridiculous. That's right. Grammar's saying right now, Cena is omnipresent. Yes, he's everywhere. I mean, but wait a minute. If he's everywhere, well, you shouldn't be able to see him, right? I mean, I was surprised that he was even there because, you can't see John Cena. But obviously, it's a little inside joke, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, here we are broadcasting live here on the 12th day of July in the year 2025. Poet and I know it. Setting the standard and raising the bar here on the only award-winning radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real award-winning media puppet from the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell. I'm Sam Newsman, and this is SideShow Infotainment. That's right. So I want to thank everyone, of course, for joining into the show. I see a couple of people here in chat already. Big M, Stefan, Artem. So thanks all of you guys for joining in. Tip of the cap. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X, and mirroring those on Exertus's channels as well. So at Sam Newsman all over social media, or you can join us at Exertus. And so tip of the cap, of course, for him allowing us to be able to do this and mirror this stream on his channel. So if you have any thoughts, what are your thoughts about the Superman movie, Superman in general? Make sure you put them down in the chat. I'll read them as they go along. Now, one of the interesting things, shout out, hey, Alex, what's going on? Oh, yeah, Mary Murr first as usual. Miss Oo, I see you down there too. So like I said, hello all of you as you continue to join in. Tell me what you think. You're going to go see the Superman movie? I know I just spoiled it. But heck, in the age of the internet, it was already spoiled before the movie even came out. Let's not kid ourselves. So don't get all mad at me saying, oh, well, Sam, you just ruined the ending. No, I didn't. I just saved you probably 2.5 hours and a bunch of money so you don't have to go see it yourself. So don't get mad at me if I'm just sitting there telling you what happens at the end and the fact that Crypto is not even Superman's dog, it's Supergirl's. So it's, listen, I know. Okay, anyway, so down there, if you look, there is a ticker going on. Hashtag Sam the Vote. Hashtag Sam the Vote. Text 127 to 804-430-5505. That is 127 to 804-430-5505. You can't do it just yet, so pause. So just pause for a moment. You can't do it. You have to wait until July 16th. That's this Wednesday. And what the Sam the Vote is this is the last year that we do plan on being in this competition. A couple of years back, we made the top 5. 2 years ago, we made the top 3. Last year, we were number 2. And with your help this year, we will become the number 1 morning radio show here in Central Virginia, according to the Richmond Times-Dispatch, the news paper of record here in Central Virginia and pretty much Virginia in and of itself. So, but we need your help. Make sure that you start doing that. Set a reminder for Wednesday. You got to do it every day. And here's the cool thing about it is that you can also vote online as well with your email address. Now, you will have to give them a whole bunch of information, including probably a blood sample and probably a stool sample and everything else. But the easy way is, of course, just to text. And what you want to do is also grab every phone in your house that you can text from and text that little number 127 to that phone number, 804-430-5505, starting on Wednesday. You're going to do that every day all the way until August the 3rd. Now, big announcement, of course. Now, that is one of the announcements. The other announcement is because this is the last year that we do plan on doing this particular competition, what we're going to do is we're going to get out a hashtag Sam the Votathon. That's too big of a hashtag. Okay, so just Sam the Votathon. So Sam the Votathon is going to be what we're going to be doing every single night that we can. I can't say it's going to be every night, but most nights, starting at 10 o'clock Eastern time, We will be streaming just like we're doing now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X, also on Exertus's channels as well. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting out the vote. Hashtag Sam the Votathon. Well, I mean, hashtag Sam the Votathon does have a better ring to it than just Sam the Votathon. You know, because the hashtag Sam the Vote. You know why we call it hashtag Sam the Vote. Remember the old ditty? The ditty Rock the Vote? Yeah, well, yeah, I wonder if baby oil was involved with that. You know, the whole rock the vote. Rock the vote with baby oil. No, but the whole Sam the Vote, a little play on words from rock the vote. But listen, no, you don't have to use baby oil in order to vote. No, it's not a requirement. You don't have to worry about any type of videos recording you. And you don't have to worry about me going to trial and then getting off by the feds, which seems to be par for the course these days. You saw that, right? Yeah, so Diddy, I guess he trafficked absolutely no one. And so that's, well, you know, they can't let the informant go away. It would just mess up their whole ridiculous grip on everything. Mythoclass says bad boy baby oil. Yeah, so instead of bad boy records, bad boy baby oil. But right on. So here we are, like I said, hashtag Sam the Votathon. That's hashtag Sam the Votathon, starting on Wednesday, 10 o'clock, every single night that we can do it. It won't be every night, but it'll be most nights from, July 16th through August the 3rd, every single night. And you're going to be asking, what are we doing? We're going to try to get out the vote. Remind everybody to vote every single day. Grab every phone in their house to continue to vote, because we need to take this home to the bank. I mean, we got to stick the landing, ladies and gentlemen. How do we do that? We do that with your help by making sure that you text that number down there starting on July 16th. That's Wednesday. And we will appreciate if you are able to do that. And the reason why is because, as my buddy Exertus says, it's time to hack the planet. Hashtag hack the planet. That's what we're doing. Hashtag finish the story, if you will. Like I said, 2 years ago, we were third place. Last year, we knocked off a syndicated radio show to get second place. And, well, the person who has been winning first place over the last couple of years no longer has a radio show. In fact, he's running for lieutenant governor right now for the state of Virginia, which then gives us the inside lane. So how do we get there? We get there by you texting 127 to the phone number down there starting on Wednesday. And like I said, it will help us continue our quest to what? That's right. Hashtag finish the story while you hack the planet. Hack the planet by what? Well, by voting for me for best morning radio show here in Central Virginia by the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Now, of course, before we bring in Exertus here in just a few moments, one of the things that I did want to talk about is, well, I mean, we have to go over this, right? I mean, you saw the news yesterday that Dan Bongino stormed out. Dan Bongino has stormed out because Bondi the Clown, that's what we're going to start calling her now, Bondi the Clown. Well, because Bondi just sounds like a clown name to begin with. Bondi the Clown sat there and told us this week that Jeffrey Epstein is the new Mandela effect, right? I mean, think about it, right? So there was a timeline we were in, ladies and gentlemen, and that timeline said that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset for Israel, and he was gathering information about politicians for blackmail and everything. But come to find out, none of that is true, right? The Department of Justice said that there is no client list. And Ghislaine Maxwell is sitting in prison right now for child sex trafficking to absolutely no one. Right. So, I mean, so just think about that for a moment. The Mandela effect. And, if you would have told me that in 2025, that with the Mandela effect would be involving Jeffrey Epstein, I would have said you're crazy. But you know what? It looks like that's the case. So... Oh man. Yeah, you know what? And the word is on the street the word is on the street is that Kash Patel, he might quit too, because they're furious. Yeah. Well, Dan Bongino, he just left yesterday. People are wondering whether or not he's going to quit altogether. But then, and then now people are saying that Kash Patel might quit. But I mean, hey, listen, you know what? You guys already have egg on your faces. So don't try to sit there and, pull back now and say, oh, well, you know what? I guess that, I guess things are, we're so mad at Bondi the Clown. Bondi the Clown is, she did this and this is all wrong. And so, well, I guess the question is, here's one for you. Now think about this. Chew on this for a moment. Would we be in the same situation if Matt Gaetz was the AG? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was listening for the pin to drop, right? Yeah. Remember that? Remember Matt Gaetz? Everybody was so upset, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he had to pull out, and then Bondi the Clown comes in, and she's, because, and the reason why you got to call her a clown. Do you remember what happened back in February? Right. So they had a bunch of influencers, was it what? Yeah. It was influencers. Ha! So whatever that means. A bunch of influencers come to the White House, and then they walk out carrying these white binders, sitting there waving these binders around, saying, "Hey, look at this!" And then they sit there and said, "Hey, this is just the first step of releasing more information about Jeffrey Epstein." And then, yeah, Candy down there says Bindergate. That's right. It was Bindergate. Come to find out, when they started opening up the binders and going through them, what was it? It was a bunch of information that they already had. So there was no new information in the binders. No, absolutely not. What there was just a bunch of old stuff that everybody already had. And it looked like a bunch of influenzas. No, listen, it just goes to show you that Bondi the Clown just clowned everybody. I mean, she gives the influencers. Can we start calling them that? The influencers, a bunch of binders that had a bunch of information that we already had. And then they sit there and said, and she goes on Fox News and some other places and says, well, the Epstein files are on my desk along with the JFK files and the Martin Luther King files. And, we're going to be the most transparent administration in history. And here goes that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have the biggest cover up since 9/11, possibly JFK as well. You know what? And I saw someone said something over the week. They said, well, if Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, well, might as well just say JFK probably killed himself too. That whole Zapruder film, all of that's just fake news. That's fake news too. And remember a while back, the CCTV footage of Epstein's cell. They said that was destroyed. Go ahead and look it up. They said that there was no CCTV footage or whatever, closed captioning video, because it was destroyed. Right, that's what they said. So here we are. We're sitting there, and then they pull out this new video, and then this new video comes out, and they said, "Oh well, here it is," but there's a minute missing on the video, and then they're trying to explain it away, saying, "Oh well, that's just the time that the video resets every day," and all this other garbage. Well, wait a minute. Well, did the video get destroyed, or is that a new video? This is ridiculous. If you think about it, just on pure, just use your head for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, because they sat there and said that the video was destroyed. They come out with a new video. AI is going bananas because you can do anything now with AI. And then they sit there and say, oh, well, here's the new video, but there's a minute missing, but that has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. Don't listen. Please excuse it. It's just a regular routine. It's just regular routine stuff that happens every single day at the same time that the video resets in a whole minute and blah, 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 blah. Then it comes to my attention that people have been using this video and running it through programs that has been edited multiple times through Adobe Premiere. Because you can now figure that out. Yeah, well, because AI is starting to take over. Well, it already has taken over. The singularity is probably already here. But the real question is that now we have a video that we were told years ago that there was no video because it was destroyed. And now, out of nowhere, we have this new video that's missing a minute, if you will. It's missing a minute. They want you to believe that it's there, but then we know that it's been edited multiple times through Adobe Premiere, and they just think you're all stupid. You know that, right? So they think you're dumb. They all think that you're morons, and they think that you're just going to let this go. In fact, now, if you even bring up Epstein, did you see where the president the other day, he was asked at the table, like the cabinet meeting, somebody asked him about, well, what about Epstein? And he just started gaslighting everybody and their mom, right out of the gate. He just sat there and was like, we're still talking about Epstein? We're talking about Epstein? Yeah, we're talking about Epstein. Yeah, because it's one of the biggest stories that we've had in years. And now you're telling me that it's just a conspiracy? It's just a conspiracy because we were here on this show live when Epstein got arrested. And we were here live on this show on a Saturday morning when Epstein killed himself. Which they say is, because that's what happened. Epstein killed himself. So it's absolutely ridiculous. You can't make this stuff up. And here we are now, like I said, because of all the gaslighting, you got to sit there and you got to wonder about all the MAGA voters, right? They're probably all upset. If they're sitting there voting for MAGA, you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get all this transparency, and now you're complicit in the child sex trafficking cover-up. It's absolutely mind-boggling to the max. And you're starting to see people, they're taking their MAGA hats and they're throwing them on the grill, burning their MAGA hats. Influencers. That sounds kind of gangsta. You know what I mean? Like influencer, but with the AZ. So influencers, yo. But the influencers, they're now all upset. They're sitting there wondering, hey, what's going on? This is not what I voted for. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. Tell me what your thoughts are down in the chat here. So it's what it said. Candy says, this is making me wonder again if Trump may be the Antichrist. I don't know. I trust no government whatsoever. Jeez. So, well, I mean, that says it right there. I don't want to be quick to judge, but yes, it is ridiculous. So, Kalik says, I think we should just wait and see till he's done with his presidency. Well, I tell you what, the presidency already seems like to be tanking right now. You have a militant communist / socialist who's running for mayor in New York City. He's gotten more votes than any other person that was running. People are all freaked out at the moment. So not joking to me, says the winter of discontent. How about the fall of SMH? The fall of SMH. That's maybe what this is. We have the fall of SMH that will lead to the winter of our discontent. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. But here we are. Like I said, it could just be an illusion. Everything's an illusion. The whole ones and zeros. Oh, yeah, that's right. Trust the plan. That's right. Trust the plan. I saw another meme this week. You remember the old Oregon Trail? You died of dysentery. I saw one that said it had the whole, the wagon and being pulled for the Oregon Trail, and it said, "You have died of trusting the plan." Man. So, but listen, I know people are upset. People are wondering, hey, what's going on? And I'm sure that if Exertus is around, he could probably come in and give us a couple of insights if he is around. So he'll pop in, I'm sure, in a few moments when he is available. But this, ladies and gentlemen, I just need to get your thoughts down in the chat. Tell me what you're thinking. I see we got multiple people watching, 47 at the moment. Go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you're following us online at Sam Newsman all over social media. Remember, the Sam the Vote, text 127 to the number down there at the bottom of the screen when you do get a chance. And so, like I said, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm just telling you right now that things are going bananas. But what we do have here is we have confusion, mass confusion. And I'm sure that this mass confusion is got everyone up in a big kerfuffle. So
I'm confused. I'm confused as a gender neutral child in communist leftist California right now. How confusing
well,
is it, man?
it's not as bad as the migrant marijuana workers who are getting raided just by trying to get natural medicine. What is going on over there? What is happening? I mean, this whole listen. Are the ones and zeros broken? Listen. I got to get your thoughts on all of this.
You know, I gotta say, by the way, good to see you, Sam. It's always
good to see you.
A
Always
pleasure.
just love to see your face. Love to hear your voice. Always great to have you around.
You have a smooth voice. You know that it's beautiful to hear your voice. You sound like
it's
the
my
smoke
beautiful
that comes out of a
puppet
dragon.
voice, and then people are wondering, well, how they can see my beautiful puppet face, and that's by just following me at Sam Newsman. But hey, listen, I tell you, I mean, you've been watching this, you've been following this, you know what's going on. But
the Camarillo thing hits harder. The Camarillo thing hits harder. You know, that whole thing with the glasshouse or cannabis nursery, that's in Camarillo, California. My great-great-grandfather was Don Adolfo Camarillo. So I'm like the firstborn of the firstborn of the firstborn kind of thing. So it's really weird seeing it because what you have there is Mexican California. And I know everyone's going to be pointing to it saying, hey, these were like child laborers and all this stuff. But, you know, like a lot of that's getting really weirdly blown out of proportion. It's not really a lot of child laborers going on. You got Mexican people that have their kids with them for the most part because they have no place that they can bring their kids. And I get everyone's concern, you know, because I think the United States is a really convoluted idea. People support this idea of like federalism ever since Abraham Lincoln and the Pinkertons took over the United States. But I'm supposed to be this hard right MAGA conservative. I can't do that today. I'm having a hard time with it ever since the Epstein thing anyway. I've been full distrust, which is great. I'm back to full distrust. You know how great it is to have pure, unadulterated distrust in every political figure in government? It's my happy place. This is where we should all be. We should never just be thinking that this hope is going to, you know, change things. We should be like skeptical, waiting for actual track records and results to emerge. So already kind of seeing people fall upon the wayside of the sword, saying, hey, you know, we never really needed to worry about the Epstein thing. We're just supposed to trust in our leaders, Heil. And I just feel like that's kind of crazy. You know, that's not the way things are supposed to go. And when Trump said, you know, do we really still care about the Epstein thing? The answer is yes. Yes, we do still care about the Epstein thing. In fact, we care more now because you made us so concerned by saying that we're just going to have to assume you're complicit, whether you are or not. And I mean, I already assumed you were at least somewhat aware because you knew the guy, threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, went on the flight. We just like to say, hey, that was your reason for fighting it. But if it's not your reason for fighting it because you're not fighting it, guess what, bro? Now all of a sudden you're part of the conspiracy. And like, we love conspiracies. That's what we do here. So you should probably be more careful.
Exactly. Well, you know, and when you're sitting there, you're thinking about this. I mean, the whole Epstein thing to begin with, it's like I was saying earlier, it's like a Mandela effect now. I mean, he was
there was never Epstein.
There's no list. There's no
Epstein never existed. There wasn't even an Epstein. He arrested himself. He actually achieved some sort of state of nirvana and just disappeared. He emanated
like a Jedi.
Like a Jedi. It's very impressive, and I love the use of Adobe Premiere, but they should have gotten Ping Trip, man. I'm telling you what, I have friends who can edit in Premiere and make it look real. I use AI all the time. This is blowing my mind that they had to do it so poorly. I'm starting to think it was all some sort of genius move. Like withholding the Epstein list is a brilliant, perhaps calculated move because it fuels mob rage, right? I mean, if you prime people for years to demand a scapegoat or multiple scapegoats with subtle nudging, suspicion can be steered towards anybody or anything, right? Not just one person or one state, but many, even perhaps entire nations that were once considered allies. Overnight, friends could become enemies, driven to a thirst of vengeance. It's a perfect storm. I mean, and I know that you've noticed, like the media recently has been pushing that you got to hate Iran, or you got to hate Israel, or you got to love or hate. You know, we're picking sides here for World War III. That's all that's been going on. And I don't know what's real. Is Russia a distraction from Epstein, or is Epstein list not existing a distraction from Russia? You know, you got to tell me. I don't know. I'm just saying something's going on with the flipping of the hands. There's hidden hands. Look how hidden my hand is right now. That's what's going on with the Epstein list.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Now, the interesting thing is that we have this Epstein list that's not an Epstein list. and we have this video that seems to be edited. And then you
Right.
have all of the gaslighting coming now directly from the White House. You have Bongino, who's getting PO'd and not even showing up to work yesterday. Rumors are that Kash Patel might be quitting too. They're all
That would be
really
nice.
upset
I feel
about
like
Bondi the clown.
Yeah, but are we going to
My question,
blame?
if Matt Gaetz was the AG, would this be happening? I mean,
I-
everybody was
that's-
upset about him.
Here's my thought. Can we really? Is it that the way to do this? Should we really just blame the blonde lady? Because to me, that's what Trump did. She's just following orders, and I know that's a thing since the Nuremberg trial. But really, if you're just following orders, shouldn't you blame the person that cast the orders? So if this guy's saying don't talk about this list, and Bondi's saying, I'm hiding it because I was told to, and I'm just following orders, I feel like getting rid of her is just going to replace her with another person who's just going to follow orders. That's kind of what it sounds like is going on with Bongino and Kash Patel, is that they're following orders. And so the only thing they could possibly do, because they have to keep their word, they have to keep their oaths, they have to keep their privacy. But if they quit, then at least it sends a message or a signal that, yeah, we were just following orders. We're scared for our children and our families' lives and our Mossad girlfriends, and we can't really say anything. So what we're going to do is just make the statement that we're leaving. I think resigning is the only thing you can do if you really want to prove that you're not part of this conspiracy, if you think it's going to go down that way. And I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies flying around, like whether the January 6th to the Biden administration was all underneath this Trump Q thing. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. How much of this has all been a plan where somebody had, a bunch of people had lists of everyone that were involved, videos of all these people involved in multiple locations, perhaps NFTs that are made of child pee, like the bad stuff with the kids, like maybe diddling kids videos, that P. Diddy kind of stuff, that were NFTs that held data, money, information, lists of information. If they're inside of an NFT, then all of a sudden you can't, if it's that NFT is made of child porn, you can't even look at it, right? It's illegal to even hold it or have it. So it explains a lot about the missing data and why they're saying, oh yeah, well, there's all this terrible stuff that we can't show people. Guess what? If that terrible stuff is the list, there are certain ways that the federal government can open up an NFT and look at the files and get the data out and show the people. They're choosing not to share it on purpose, and they're distracting us. I don't even like, we have friends from Texas right now who have missing daughters, family members that are missing from Camp Mystic. I don't know how far you've gone into this whole idea that Camp Mystic is a mystical, symbolic sacrifice or something like that, but it took 3 days for them to even respond. You've got 23, 13, 18, specific,
well, I was also reading that camp is
numbers.
also, there's a lot of high-profile kids that go to that camp, like for people who
Richmond.
are for the Camp Mystic. So people who are very high prominent people, their kids go to that camp.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me that you got P. Diddy getting off of the case immediately after P. Diddy's case. First off, when P. Diddy got arrested, you have the Dew fires in Palisades, which is in a neighborhood filled with rich people that have security camera systems, not unlike the Epstein one, which, by the way, these security camera systems have 10 terabyte hard drives in them that record at 4K or 1080p. They have 24-hour surveillance for 6 weeks at a time. They switch over to servers every 24 hours. There should be backups. There should be no missing minute. This is completely nonsense, and we all know it. I mean, the whole story, you saw CoffeeZilla or Voidzilla's, second channel talking about this, just watching the changes. It's incredible because if you can tell people something 3 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden they love you so much and they're just so like, I'm going to follow what you say, that 3 weeks later, they'll believe the new lie, which is a 180-degree turn from the old lie. I mean, it's incredible gaslighting because it's literally like 2 + 2 = 4 yesterday. Today it equals 5. Tomorrow it'll equal 6. Next day it'll be 7, 8, 9. It's completely ridiculous.
Well, here, what's really ridiculous. Here we have them coming out, the DOJ saying, oh, by the way, there is no client list, and Epstein killed himself. Case closed. We're not going to mention it anymore. Oh, by the way, cloud seeding is real, and so are chemtrails. Wait, what?
Yeah, and the shoes. You don't have to wear shoes.
Hold on, wait a minute. It's like here we go. In order for us to try to forget about that, about the Epstein thing, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, weather modification is real. And it's hold on, wait a minute. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Weather modification is not Palestine, it is real. That's exactly what we're hearing all of a sudden every day. It's crazy. And the shoe thing, right? The TSA, all of a sudden flights no longer the flight logs, flight list of Epstein. You no longer have to take off your shoes, get to keep your souls. I mean, there's something there with the symbology for sure. I don't know. The whole thing with Bondi though is that she's doing exactly what she was told to do. So I can't be like, oh man, you know, I mean, I'm sure we can blame whoever we want to blame, but at a certain point, a scapegoat, this is the issue. We're creating a situation where people want a scapegoat. So they're going to say that we want to blame Bondi. And clearly that's not going to be enough. Bondi's not Barabbas. So this is going to be aimed at, oh, well, the Mossad did it. Or, oh, well, you know, Qatar. There was the thing with, it was a Carlson Tucker talking about, Tucker Carlson. Man, I flipped that around. Talking about Qatar. And Qatar being somehow complacent because of the flight lists and the flights and everything. I feel like this is just blatant symbology. They're just it's weird because a lot of the time you have distractions in the media, and instead you have this sort of like Men in Black, National Enquirer. They're saying stuff in the media for you to see. They burned all the documents. They burned all the security camera footage in P. Diddy's neighborhood. You know, Ellen DeGeneres' house. She's hiding out in England. And now all of a sudden, P. Diddy gets off of the trial, you know, 3 counts not guilty, baby oils, you know, showering each other in the streets. And then we're told that there's no Epstein list. It's all connected. They couldn't have done that until after the Epstein trial was over. And they knew that they had that the DA didn't have anything on Diddy. That meant they didn't have anything on Epstein because Diddy was the successor to the program. They put Diddy in charge, it sounds like, after they took Epstein out. I mean, this is just my opinion as a free American middle-class white woman on The View, but...
Right, yeah. You quite a conspiracy theorist that you are. So shame on you for asking the right questions, even though we do now understand that I think that the conspiracy theorists now are what? About 150 to 0 when it comes to them being right? It just seems like
usually
everything.
Well, what's crazy is, you know, people have been putting money in the Alex Jones jar. This time you had to put money in the David Icke jar, right? Because David Icke's been saying this for a while, and we brought him on just recently, just before this all happened. And this is exactly what he predicted would happen. And we're like, well, come on, you know, that seems like almost a little too. Hey, the guy talks about lizard people. So how far do you have to go before you realize everything he's saying is the truth? And everything's a show. And I remember Kerry and Bush debating against each other in 2004 before the you know, the second election of Bush, and everyone talking about how they were both members of the Skull and Bones, and they're fighting each other, acting like the other one's the bad guy. You're a giant douche. You're a turd sandwich, right? But then people saying, hey, you know, like right after this, they're going to go have a barbecue together. And it bothers people, this idea that Trump and Biden were completely complicit, even though Biden's wife, Jill, was wearing a red dress on the election day, right? You don't wear red if you're a Democrat to your blue husband's vote, right? Like they're setting up for, this is the third term. And he keeps joking about how he's going to run for a third term. This is the third term. This is Trump's third term right now. He won the second election. He stepped back so he could be here for a third term. And you just commander-in-chief superseding the president working under him. And everyone's been joking about Obama in a tracksuit under the White House telling Biden what to do. It's way weirder, bro. It's way deeper than that, because Biden has Obama, who Obama's mother's grandfather, Obama's mother's father was Sergeant Stanley Dunham, who's the cousin of Dick Cheney. Right. And the Bank of Hawaii was his grandmother. So the connection between the banks, the international flight lists, the human trafficking in Hawaii, cocaine money, CIA, everything there, from Obama to Dick Cheney to his daughter connected to the Bush daughters connected to Ellen DeGeneres. I mean, the thing is, it's not a big deal to say that all these rich people are friends with each other, but they are. And Donald Trump was friends with all of them. Before Bill Clinton told him to run against his wife, right? The only reason that apparently Donald Trump ran for president was to play the nemesis, the foil against Hillary Clinton. And it's this weird reverse psychology thing, because at a certain point they realized people stopped buying pop albums and they wanted the alternative music so bad they had to get an entire genre called alt music, alternative contemporary, alternative rock music. That's the MTV generation, right? So they knew that the Gen X people, their whole thing was being independent and averse to the mainstream until they got such a large, it used to be different, right? In the 50s and the 60s, everyone wanted to have the same car. Now it's all about having your own flavor. A corporation's going to sell you some product that makes you more unique and special. You just be like everybody else if you didn't buy our product. This is the purchasing of the American people's ideology. And we've completely got to the point where saying, hey, if you don't want what I give you, you're a bad guy, means I want to be a bad guy. It's completely do it or I'll spank you, spank me. That was America. That was what happened. And that's what led, I think, to Bush being transitioned into Obama. And then Obama replaced in this pendulum swing with Trump. And it bothers so many people want to say, no, man, there was really, this wasn't just some sort of propaganda journalism. But look at it. Look how it happened. Look at how people told you to hate Trump, so you started loving him. And then look how the entire world has shifted their media to present Trump completely differently than they did in his first term. He has this extremely powerful Senate. They've replaced everybody in the DNC. They've replaced everybody in the Conservative Party with MAGA rhinos. And now we're supposed to pretend that this is just the way the American people wanted things. And it doesn't matter what we want today, because tomorrow we'll be told we want something different.
Well, listen, hold on. You know, I think that you're being a little too harsh now, because we have old Orange 47 now being nominated possibly for the Nobel Peace Prize after bombing the hell out of Iran.
That's fair. That's fair for two reasons. One, because Nobel invented dynamite, so it would only make sense that the guy who uses the biggest explosion. I mean, right? Because like the Nobel Prize is a total sham. That's the whole thing about Obama got the Peace Prize just for becoming black. I think that's the. I mean, that was a crazy
It's true. It was the first thing right out of the gate when Obama was elected. They're like, oh, by the way, here's a Peace Prize, because
it was really hard to become black. It was easier for Michael Jackson to become white, I'm sure, than it was for Obama to pretend to be a black person, a black American. I mean, this dude who had slaves dress him every morning from Indonesia in this Dutch and aristocratic school on an island, all of a sudden is told, hey, you have to relate with people from Chicago who play basketball every day. That must have been really hard. That's like almost as hard as Bush pretending to be from Texas when he's from Connecticut. Like the whole thing is incredible acting. And I have to give them credit for that.
I guess they're all a part of central casting, I guess, right?
It sounds like the truth, right? That's what we've been seeing, even if, and then now, what's his name? Sorry, I forget his name, but the guy who played Sam in Lord of the Rings, he's going to be the president of SAG, the Screen Actors Guild.
So Sean Austin?
Sean Austin's going to be the new president of SAG, right? So cast your ring into the fire. I don't know.
So I guess the question that I have for you is that what's going to happen next? Is this just going to be a can that's kicked down the road? I mean, are people really going to continue to just say, all right, well, I guess we're going to move on? I don't think people are going to move on.
No, yeah, I think it's really designed on purpose, because you look at the media that's been going up for this, and we have all of these signs towards scapegoats, like I said earlier. So people are going to be looking for blood and blood atonement, literally. And so the fact that they can't have Epstein, they can't have the billionaires are going to be able to push that towards other people in power in other countries. They're going to say, well, really, it was Israel, or really, it was Iran, or really, it was these group of people that we want to get rid of. And people are going to go for that because people really want vengeance. They don't really care if it's for the right person. They just want to sacrifice a goat. It's just this American urge to sacrifice goats. I feel like that's what's going on. It's a scapegoat ritual.
Well, you always got to have a bad guy somewhere so you can point at him and say, hey, listen, that's the reason. And now that there's no Epstein list and there's nothing to go on, and like I said, the biggest cover-up since 9/11.
That's the other thing. 9/11 did the exact same thing. Why did we end up in Iraq? It's like you create a issue, you create a false paradigm where you don't have anyone that you can really transpose the guilt to and atone for, and then you turn it all of a sudden something completely removed. It has nothing to do. I predict this is going to be either against Russia or it's going to be about the United States. We have this Fifth Amendment thing. So all of these people that are involved in the Epstein thing don't have to say anything because they can just say, well, I plead the Fifth Amendment because I was complicit in that, right? But there are countries that don't have the Fifth Amendment. Russia comes to mind. There could be extradition to other countries, but the United States is going to go to war with those countries. Any country that has any interest in finding out the truth about the Epstein list, those are going to be the countries that we go to war with next. That's essentially what I'm seeing here.
Well, like I said, it is probably the biggest cover-up story since 9/11. And prior to that, it was JFK. But like you said, it's now I do feel whole again. Not that I didn't feel whole.
Right.
I've always been questioning the government, but you see everybody now who thought they would get transparency. They didn't get transparency. They got something completely opposite, and they feel like that they got the rug pulled out from under
Yeah,
them.
Goy Boy is going gay for Krav Maga. That's the thing that I've been seeing. It's like this whole thing with MAGA and Krav Maga. Krav Maga is like the Israeli martial arts defense system. Of course, MAGA is an Israeli defense mechanism. Duh. And everyone the entire time has been pretending that they really want to have this fascist dictatorship as long as it's colored the right way. It's no longer blue, so it's red now. Dude, this is what scares me about the California thing, right? Again, I see it a little differently because Camarillo is my family's hometown and my family name. So I'm imagining like my mom's in like the house with helicopters flying over her head, wondering what's going on. There are Mexicans in the fields picking lemons in every direction, not just cannabis. And they're worried everywhere they go that ICE is going to attack them. And it's a convoluted mess because, you look at the map of California and you realize like California used to include Texas, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, New Mexico. It was this huge thing before they cut it into the shape of an owl, right? Like California. That's the Bohemian Grove version of California. It's this. Here, let me pull that up there. You know what I'm talking about? The shape of California. Some people don't study geography very much. Here, see this right here. This is the shape of California right now. Okay, this is the California. That's the reason it looks like that. But originally, California was part of Mexico, and it was this huge thing until James Polk. And people don't understand that, like, North California and Baja California, here's North California up here, here's Baja California right there. They're one long thing. It's North Korea. North California is North Korea, essentially. We're, like, isolated from our family. And it's one thing if you're from over here and you're like, I don't want people coming over here with their new and different culture, I get that. But this is the funny thing. It's no longer about what they tell you it's about. They said it was about pedophiles and Epstein and human trafficking. That was the scapegoat that they used to create a race war. And now they're trying to say, okay, well, California, we got to push out all of the Mexicans, right? And I get it. Like, you hate Mexicans. That's fine. Even Owen Benjamin said this as much. Owen Benjamin, right, who's considered to be like the world's most famous racist. But he's like, hey, if you think this isn't going to backfire and have side effects, you're not paying attention. I mean, when Owen Benjamin's telling you what the fuck, then there's something really like messed up here. This is a messed up moment because there's no way that these people are going to get white methed out heroin addicts to go pick their strawberries for $30 an hour with benefits. It's just not going to happen. So this is the infrastructure replacement, technocracy replacement, where they're trying to remove these people. Food's going to go up in price. You're going to be paying even less. I know this sounds like some blue anon conspiracy, but it's just for real. Like, this is not the way to do this. And all of these people have family in the United States, in California. And so this idea that you have to have a complete exodus, I think is a major misstep, because the original way that a lot of people came to America, and this is, okay, let's start with this. Nations are migratory. According to political science, you can think about the nation of Islam, the nation of hip hop, the nation of Israel. These are migratory groups of people. A state is the monopoly of violence. That's what Max Weber said, right? That every state controls who can pay taxes and which banks are going to get paid back and the resources that are going to be used, goods and services, resources, and people. People are resources too. We refine those resources. We refine those people. But a nation state, which we have republics, right? California was a constitutional republic, just like Texas was a constitutional republic. It has its own constitution, has its own military. Originally, the United States was a confederation of republics. And so the idea was that, I'm coming at this from a Ron Paul perspective, that the United States is supposed to have a number of their own autonomous sovereign countries, republics, states, right? Like California is its own country, has its own constitution, has its own economy, has its own government, has its own police, has its own military. They're supposed to be able to enforce the laws and harmonize. The thing with European Union has countries that are part of states now, harmonize with the federalist agenda to an extent, right? And if they want to do stuff in their own home turf, that's okay, so long as it doesn't spread out, right? So there's no reason you can't have Mexicans all have cell phones. Like, you can register, document, use Palantir, whatever you want, and prove that all of these people are in the place they're supposed to be. You can have their family members vouch for them. You could have them the same way that you have when someone gets what's it called, where you're not allowed to leave the state, right? You know, the government will keep you in a specific state. You're not allowed to leave town because you're under surveillance, essentially.
Oh, you mean like everybody is how they are right now?
I mean, right now, Californians, the way it works is there's open borders, right? So you can go from California into Colorado. I think that's why people are so upset about the open border in Mexico. Californians were never that upset about the open border in Mexico. There were certain Californians, I'm sure, in the East and the Trump supporting, you know, Bakersfield Republicans for sure. But generally, you had an open border in Mexico. I used to live in Tijuana. It was $200 a month to rent a house. And I used to live in San Diego and it was like $2,000, right? So of course you're going to live in Mexico. And then they give you this fast pass thing. The same at the airport where you can go through the line a little bit quicker, the TSA pre-select. They have this little tracker in your car. You take a right, you get just off of the main, you know, border check, and they just drive you in and out instantly. There's no problem. This is how people are smuggled across the country anyway. I mean, people are coming in and out are coming through the pre-select line. And I'd be at IKEA in San Diego and you'd see Baja California plates because Mexicans would drive up, and you go down to Mexico, Baja California, right? This is the other thing. It is called California in Mexico. That is the name of that state of Mexico.
Right, absolutely.
So you've got Baja Californians in San Diego. You got San Diego Californians living in Mexico and Baja California. There's really, like, this idea is really convoluted. I get it. You're in New York or Maryland. It's not the same. But in California, it really was convoluted because California would have had a much more open policy with Mexico because that is their native related culture. So there's no reason you can't have people vouching for these people and have some sort of a rule that says, hey, you're allowed to work here. If you break any of the rules of the United States, you're going to get instantly kicked out. And, you know, 99% of these people are strawberry pickers. That's the thing about this, was like pretending that these are human traffickers. Yeah, there are sanctuary cities that should be shut down. There shouldn't be a sanctuary city, but you should be able to get a state visa that doesn't allow you to leave for the rest of the United States. If you go to Nevada and your phone tracks that you went to Nevada, you broke the terms of your visa and you're not allowed to live in the United States or California anymore. That makes total sense to me. And I think you can get rid of anybody who breaks any of the rules. I'm not against getting rid of people that break the rules. I get what you're saying. I think the rules are often completely convoluted. And you have to remember they had rules against marijuana in California, rules against beer in Utah, rules against, you know, interracial marriage in Alabama. So every state's got its own weird set of rules that are probably not constitutional. But if you follow the basic human rights in the Constitution, you should probably be allowed to work in California if the Californian government wants you to. And I hate Gavin Newsom. I think he's the biggest nuisance that's ever existed. He bothers me so much. Don't get me wrong. Like, I hate this guy, but I believe in the separation of not just church and state, but state and federal government. And I think that this idea that the race war agenda of the federal government spreading into the smaller states is totalitarianism. It's authoritarianism. It's probably, I hate to be calling it fascism because I know that word's tossed around a lot, but it's basically fascism because you're saying that the California government can't govern its own citizens. And if they're inept, that's one thing, but it's not that they're inept. They're able to do what they want. They just don't want to do what the federal government wants to do. And I know that people really want these states to do exactly what Daddy Trump tells them to do, but that's a dangerous precedent because it means that no state is able to have its own sovereignty anymore. And we're moving away from the Confederation and the original libertarian, and I hate that word, I know people don't like it, but constitutional rights to every American citizen meant that every state was able to do what it wanted to do and not have to follow what Washington, D.C. said unless it really affected the rest of the country.
You know, well said. And in terms of our time looks like it's up for today. Got another show coming in here in just a few moments. But before we head out, I did make a little announcement, and I did have a phone number that was down there on the ticker a few moments ago. That is the number. The number is 127 that you're going to want to text every single day starting on Wednesday to the number 804-430-5505. And also the Sam the Vote-a-thon that we're going to start. That's going to start Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And then we're going to try to do a show every single night. We're going to be going over all these issues, the news of the day, make sure that it's nice and fresh so we don't have to sit there and rant all about it on Saturday, even though we probably still will. But every single day is to remind all of us to what you told me last year. It's like, hey, we got to hack the planet and finish the story. I mean, it seems like the planet's already hacked. We got to hack it back.
They're geoengineering the planet. Yeah, pretty much. It's real.
Exactly. Now tell everybody real quick, where can they find you online, and how can they watch your amazing interview with David Icke? Thousands upon thousands of views now.
You're too kind.
Yeah, but where can they find you?
Well, go to Exertus, Xirtus, Exertus. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on Rumble. You can find me on X, Exertus at X. Go to Andreas Exertus at X, and you can find all the other videos there too. But basically, just stay on YouTube for now until we can figure out a way to destroy this platform as well. Because, that's the whole point. Let's completely disintegrate every form of corruption from the corporations to the government and back again.
Listen, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thanks so much, of course, for joining today. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, all I have to say, that Game of Thrones is what they play. A house of cards just day by day. Voters lose in every way. It's just like I always say. Oh, it's SideShow, Infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. The most trusted puppet in media is me. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman.
You're beautiful, Sam. Thank you.
You're beautiful. Haha.